Well, yeah, I grew up in predominantly central Queensland. I was born at Rocky, lived at Dingo for the time on a property, and then moved to Springshaw. I lived in the Springshaw Ryan district until early 70s, and I went to middle 60s. I went to school, boarding school in Brisbane at Toowong at Brisbane Boys College, and then I went to Gatton College for a couple of years, and then came back and worked in the area. So that was my teenage and pre-teen years. That's a good question. My early life, righto, I keep putting my faith in my determination when I was young. I've carried that all the way through. Faith in myself that I could do now what I did then. Age is just a number, but sometimes that number carries with it liabilities. We used to always have to catch our ponies and go and check waters on my father and mother's property, and the biggest job was catching the ponies. So at lunchtime there'd be my mother and the governess and my brother and myself and trying to run them into the yards. There was cunning as hell. The difference now is communication. We have mobile phone, this sort of thing here. Everything's stored on that. Where we used to have, sometimes we had phones. They were party line phones, and they were, there was a Morse code system, and there'd be 6 or so residences on the one line. And every time you pick it up, it'd say, "Working!" And someone would say, "Yep." So you put it down, and then you'd have to wait until you heard there's a little ding. When they finished, they give a little ding, and then you go in and pick it up. It's working, and no one there, so then you can ring the exchange. Electricity, we've got electricity used to be 32 volt, now it's all 240 volt. We used to do the school on the veranda, and the dip yards, cattle yards were just across the lagoon, and we used to do a lot of looking at the cattle work in the yards instead of looking at what the study was. The private correspondents would send out, they would send out in a big brown envelope every week the work to be done for 2 weeks' time for you. And you would do that in 2 weeks' time, and then you would send that back to the school in Brisbane, primary correspondence school, and they then would mark it and then send your marks back. Oh heck yeah. It was, I got horribly homesick, seeing the regimentation of boarding school. The bell would go at, say 6:30 in the morning. That's when you climb out of the cot. Then there'd be another bloody buzzer at 7 o'clock, and you'd all line up and go into the dining room. There was a lot of kids. Sport was good, but I must say though, I adapted to the boarding school regime pretty well. I did. I know, I remember this vividly. I did, my father had quite a bit of cultivation, and environmentally he wanted to control the bloody water runoff, so we had to put contour banks on the country, and they were in a 6-foot vertical elevation, and you'd go along, mark them out on the contour, and then I had to build the banks with a D4, and I'd build narrow base contour banks and just push blade full of dirt about 15 metres, be full, stop and reverse up and move over half a blade. And I think I did 38 miles of that when I first left school, sitting on the little D4 without a canopy, no air conditioning. You just cut your lunch every morning and take a bloody thermos with you for your cup of tea and a water bottle, and away you go. I did that. Another one that I came to recollection was I went train droving, which is with livestock, cattle. They put them. The drover is in charge of the cattle while in transit on the train, and every time the train used to pull up at a station, you'd have to get out and go back, and most likely at night time with a torch, and you look into each wagon to see if they're all standing. There was nothing lying down being trampled on. If there was, you always had a jigger, a big cane stick with electricity on it to jigger them up to get them up. And I did have 1968. I did a mob out of 9k and a KB out of Springsure to go Gango. I was told I was the first and most likely the only sober train driver to ever leave Springsure rail station.